Welcome to the Windows Server Summit. We are so excited that you decided to join us for 2 days of technical content built by the engineers who created Windows Server 2025. You're going to get access to sessions that'll give you the skills to understand how to test and implement Windows Server 2025 inside your environment today. Now, before we get started, we got a little bit of logistics we got to cover first. Now, right after this keynote, we've got a full day of content lined up for you. And starting tomorrow at 7 a.m., we've got 6 more hours of content. Need to know the full agenda? Know what's going on? aka.ms/WSS agenda to get all the details on all the sessions and calendar reminders so you won't miss a thing. Now, hopefully you're taking advantage of this on the Microsoft Tech Community website. You've got to be signed in because that will allow you to ask questions in the comment section as the sessions are live. We've got all the engineers to make sure your questions get answered. Now, this keynote's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to take you along with me as I chat with Ian LeGrow. He is the Corporate Vice President of Azure Edge and Platform. Now, Ian leads the Operating Systems Division product management team here at Microsoft. Ultimately, he's responsible for the foundational operating system of Windows Server, Windows 11, Azure Cloud Host, Xbox OS, and more. Now, I don't want to keep the boss waiting, so let's get the show started. Hey, Ian.
Hey, Rick.
Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat.
Great to see you again.
Hey, last time we met, we were actually at Microsoft Ignite, and we launched Windows Server 2025 at Microsoft Ignite. And I'm just wondering, do you have any thoughts from that particular event? Talk to any customers, anything you can share about that?
It was a really good event. I got to participate in one of the talks we did. It was really exciting. Got to work with Eldon, Jeff, and some others. Standing room only. So it was a really good experience. Hundreds of people there that are excited about Windows Server. And then afterwards, I went to the booth and got to stand around with some of my team members and talk to some of the customers that came up and talked to us. And that was really eye-opening for me because there are customers that come from all range of types of systems, all types of users, some that have like massive data centers, some that have smaller, sort of small business, medium business size solutions, some that have complex systems that are multi-region. And hearing about from the customers and where they were in their journey with Windows Server, whether it was mostly on-prem or was mostly in the cloud or somewhere in between, was super exciting for me.
Nice. Now, with Windows Server 2025 launching at Microsoft Ignite, and we have stuff that's happening now, like what kind of is top of mind for you for what's new in Windows Server 2025?
Okay, so let me sort of explain a little bit why we're doing this event right now. Mm-hmm. So Ignite was our launch, and the focus really at Ignite is telling the world that Windows Server 2025 is here. And it's a busy event, there's a lot of things going on, and so we had a few sessions. We know that customers take time to evaluate a new version of Windows Server, test it out, kick the tires. And so we wait several months. That's why we are here now. And so this is less about talking about what's new since then and really about talking about Windows Server 2025. It was a really, really big release. We have features, we changed the UX, we've enhanced features across the whole product, which you're going to hear about here. And so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to go into depth. We have the experts here. You'll have an opportunity to talk one-on-one with folks, Q&A time, and really get those deep questions answered now that you've had a chance to kick the tires. Or if you haven't, it's a great time to just get that depth and then start kicking the tires.
Right. Can you give me a little bit of background on how Windows Server kind of fits into this concept known as adaptive cloud?
Sure. So adaptive cloud is sort of our notion of bringing Azure to where you are, meeting the customers where they are. And so we have, obviously, Azure in the cloud in our infrastructure, but we also offer products like Azure Local, which is our sort of hardware software offering built by like top OEMs that you install at your site. And also we have Azure Arc. And this notion of adaptive cloud, we adapt to you. So the one Azure control plane, able to work with your Azure infrastructure, work with your on-prem infrastructure, work with your Azure Local infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So it really gives you that umbrella of control over your technology wherever it is and give you that consistency that really helps.
And so
all of our customers are obviously working in this very large distributed environment and sort of stuff. The ability to use Azure as like your management plane seems like it's a big deal at this point in time. Is that something that you're hearing as well?
Yeah. So Azure Arc is a part of it, a big piece of it. So if you are using Windows Server on-prem, you can connect your server on-prem to Azure via Arc. And with that, you can take advantage of specific services. So there's like Defender, there's monitoring services. We'll talk maybe a bit more about it later. So hot patching will come up later, but that's an exciting one. As well as the ESUs, the extended servicing updates. And so having that one control plane allows you to have this one sort of dashboard to control all of these things. It's pretty powerful.
Now, how are we able to pull that off with this massive distributed environment and also with all these different types of systems? How does that work?
Well, it sort of it's complexity, right? And so we are really used to dealing with complexity and helping to make it easier for our enterprise customers. So if I think about just the way we work internally at Microsoft, Windows Server is part of the Windows family of products. Windows family includes the infrastructure that we build and maintain to run Azure itself. We call that our Azure host. That's a variant of Windows Server. I mentioned Azure Local. The engine that powers that is Windows Server. And then you have Windows 11. And Windows 11 and Windows Server actually share a lot. This complexity that we manage, we help try to tie the pieces together to make it simpler for our customers. And so you think across on-prem, hybrid, cloud, providing one management plane across all of those is about simplification. And so our job is to make all the magic happen behind the scenes and tie that together.
Nice. Can you give me an example of a service that might have started in Azure and capability that's now available inside of Windows Server?
Yeah, and that's the one I was mentioning is hot patching. So for those unfamiliar with hot patching, it's a little bit magical. And I remember when I first heard about it, I thought, we can do that? It's like, yes, we can. And it allows us to apply patches like security patches to a running operating system without rebooting it, without even stopping it at all. And so if you think about it, we typically put out a patch every month, Patch Tuesday. People are used to that. And so when you take your Patch Tuesday patches, typically you have to reboot your server. With hot patching, you don't have to. And so the idea is that on month 1, you take a full normal patch. And then months 2 and 3, you take a hot patch, no reboot. Then you do another normal patch again. So take 12 reboots. We compress that down to 4, which is a big saving. So that started in Azure. So we did that in Azure first, available with Azure Edition. And now we're bringing it with Windows Server 2025 for the first time. That is coming to the on-prem world. So we're really excited about that. That will be an Arc-enabled service and is really important for some customers.
Nice. And that because it's in Windows Server 2025, that applies to bare metal situations as well? Or is it only virtualized machines?
Both. Bare metal is interesting. We don't talk about bare metal as much, but this is super, super important to some of our customers. So, because computing power is so powerful today, like these massive number of cores, tons of memory. And so often you do slice it into VMs. But there are customers for whom you want to put something like a SQL database, for example. SQL Server on one server, you throw terabytes of memory at it. And well, when you have a system that big, unfortunately, it takes a long time to reboot these things. And so hot patching is a huge win there. So rather than having to restart this thing and having a half an hour restart time, you have nothing. Just magical. So it's really impressive. Nice.
Now, in the world that we're in right now at Microsoft and actually in the industry in general, the big thing that's top of mind for everybody is AI. Does AI fit in this conversation with Windows Server 2025 as well?
It certainly does. So one of the areas that we have worked on is GPU partitioning. And again, you have a big, powerful server. In most cases, you're going to have multiple VMs running on that server. And so when you're using Hyper-V as the host, you can now take your VMs and give each one of them access to the GPU. Now, why is that important? Because if you're in either inferencing or you're training or something, you will have multiple VMs on that device. And they can now share the GPU. So GPU partitioning, this is also one of the features that we first pioneered in Azure and we're now bringing to on-prem. But super exciting and really, really has benefit for AI. But not just AI. Like if you're using like VDI, like using remote desktop, something like that, it is valuable there too, because again, you could have multiple VDI VMs on that one machine, sharing that GPU, getting you maximum utilization, which is really important.
Okay, so you've shared something about these features that built in Azure and then now available on premises now. What about going the other way in Windows Server and then going up inside the Azure world?
So now, for customers that are moving in that direction. So if you're an on-prem customer moving to Azure, some pretty good benefits there. So like one of the things I talk about a lot is security. So security is important to all of us. It's a mission that's never done, and we take it very seriously for Azure. And so if you move your workloads into, your Windows Server workloads into Azure, you get to take advantage of things like Defender for Cloud, you have Sentinel and other services in the cloud. Plus, you get the benefits of Azure Scale. So it's around the world. It's an incredible data center solution for around the world. But also, you get specific advantages. So some of the features we talk about, like hot patching, extended services updates, typically those are paid for services additions to Windows Server, but when you run them in Azure, those are included. So it's a direct benefit there. It's a really great thing that you get the hot patching and ESUs included in Azure.
Now, we've got this virtual event, 2 days taking place, the Windows Server Summit. There's going to be a whole variety of different sorts of themes and different sorts of content that's going to be covered. Is there anything that kind of jumps to mind that you would like to talk about?
You know, I could talk about this all day long. So I think what's probably best is that you start talking to some of the experts, because we have 2 days, packed content. I'm excited about all of it. And so I think start talking to experts.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts?
You know, one closing thought, which is sort of a call to action for our customers. One thing that we've done in Windows Server 2025 is really enhanced our Insider program. So for Windows 11 and 10 before it, we have this Insider program with hundreds of thousands of users that are getting regular builds and providing feedback. And so with 2025, we leveraged a lot of that. We brought over the same build-to-build upgrade technology, so that when you go from one beta to the other, it's no longer a clean install. It's like just like in Windows Client. And so my call to action is to get more customers taking advantage of that. So a lot of people aren't aware. And so when you're talking to anybody, please let them know, because if we get more feedback through our telemetry, that really helps us improve the product, the way we can drive quality. It's been amazing for Windows 11, and I'd love to see customers making this a regular part of their flow, where they test on top of 2025 Insider preview, and that data comes back to us. That'd be great.
Oh, that's absolutely perfect.
It is.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to spend and chat with me. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Harpreet, we're talking Windows Server 2025, and Ian has asked me to go off and talk to a bunch of people that work on it, and I was told that you're the one to talk about upgrades. Is that right?
That is correct.
Perfect. Now, I understand that we're actually making it easier than ever.
Yeah.
Can you share?
Yeah, let me stop what I'm doing and let me talk all about upgrade with you. Now, yes, you did hear it right, that we have made it easier than before ever. In the world of Windows Server, we have been here close to 32 years. We had never had N-4 media upgrade.
N-4. Now, I understand, I'm normally understanding N-1, N-2, but what does N-4 mean?
Yeah, so N-4 media OS upgrade means that you can actually go to 4 versions back. So Windows Server 2012 R2, 2016, 2019, 2022, you can actually upgrade directly from these 4 versions directly to Windows Server 2025 using Media Upgrade Setup EXE.
Okay. Very
Isn't that easy? Isn't that amazing?
That's definitely great.
It's an amazing upgrade story for us.
Well, that's definitely a significant improvement. Now, that's different than what our customers have been doing recently, which is something known as ESUs.
Yep. So extended security updates.
Right.
Yes, you've heard it right. We want them to have easy upgrade story. And that's the reason we did the N-2. We were hearing all the feedback. We want them to get to the latest and the greatest. And that is the reason we have multiple ways for them to, upgrade to 2025. Yeah. And with that, do you want to see a demo?
Oh, I'd love to see one.
Oh, let's do that. Let me roll a great demo. So here you see, I have 4 pictures or 4 versions of 2012, Windows Server 2012, 2016, 2022, 2025. And as you see, with the click, you will see them all upgrading with just one click. You will see them all upgrading to the latest and the greatest version of Windows Server 2025.
Right. And so these are all systems that are running right now. The media would have been installed or brought over as
They are
media
on the
or
latest
ISO files.
version.
Yeah.
And then as you click, you've got the right license. As you click, you get to the latest version.
Awesome. Now, this looks really simple. I love the fact we can go N-4 right now. But are there other options you can also do for upgrades?
Funny that you asked. Never have I ever heard about feature updates for server. Have you?
No, I have not. Feature upgrades.
Yes. So feature update using Windows Update.
Oh, okay.
With the settings dialog. Same as we do for client, right? Like how we update from Windows 10, Windows 11 using that settings dialog. You can now do that with Windows Server. Now you can go back N-4 or N-2, not N-4, N-2. So 2022, Windows Server 2019, you can actually use feature update using the settings dialog and get the updates.
Okay.
Now, Rick, you may ask, Harpreet, are there prereqs on that one?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's relatively easy. One of the prereqs that I would have to see is that you have to have desktop experience installed, right?
Yes, you have to, and there are some licensing things.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to go in detail of that because my friend Rob is doing a full session on that in the coming days.
Okay. Okay, so we've seen a media update and we've also seen a feature update as well.
Yeah.
Are there any other ways we could do an upgrade?
Yes, you heard it right. There's another way.
Okay.
So for our customers who are on Server 2022 Core Edition, they can also use a command line interface, sconfig, and upgrade using that. Now, it's only for Server 2022. Core Edition users.
Got it.
So that's another way. Now, I have given you 3 ways of upgrading: media-based, N-4, the feature update using Windows Update, and the sconfig.
Right.
That's a lot. We have taken the feedback of our customers to our heart, and we have given them all these amazing things. Now, Rick, you need to update your server and get all the customers to get to the latest and the greatest as well.
We'll do that.
With that being said, you should also talk to my friend, Rob. Have you talked to him yet?
No, not yet. You're the first one.
Yeah, okay. So go talk to him. He has done so many new features on the storage, he and his team. You should definitely go and talk to him.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Hey, Harpreet mentioned that I should find some storage folks to talk to about the innovations in storage for 2025. Do you got a minute to chat?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so it's Akash and it's Rob. And what can you tell me about some of the innovations going on with Server 2025?
Sure, I would love to talk about these. So as you know, I work on the CoreOS storage team, and we work on a lot of exciting projects that bring storage innovation to server and on-prem customers. I specifically drive NVMe-related products.
Okay.
And so you may have heard that with Windows Server 2025, we delivered much more improved performance on NVMe disks. And I want to tell you, we're not done with that yet. We're continuously working on improving our storage stack to get even more performant on that.
Okay, so what's the focus on NVMe for? Why going all in on NVMe?
That's a great question. So industry trends are being driven today by these performance-intensive segments like AI. We have big data analysis, real-time trading, etc. And generally, the world today is creating so much more data and generating it than we have ever before. And it's one thing to compute this data, but it's a whole new thing to actually be able to store and access this data with high performance, being able to access this quickly, and also in a reliable fashion. And this is where NVMe really shines. High performance, high reliability. It's quickly becoming the industry standard for enterprise NVMe SSDs because it's able to deliver all this. Hardware limits are growing, the NVMe spec itself is evolving, and so we definitely see this as an area where we're going to invest in over the next few years. All of that to be able to deliver a version of Windows Server that is able to meet our customer needs.
Okay. Now, specifically with performance improvements, what kind of stuff are we talking about? What kind of investments are there?
So as I mentioned, we're working on improving our storage stack. The way we're going about this is we're introducing a multi-queue architecture into our store port driver layer within the storage stack. And what this enables us to do is it enables us to have high levels of parallelization with IOs that are being sent to these devices. And this in turn allows us to go push a lot more IO through these stacks, and while also reducing the amount of CPU that it takes in order to push this IO. And this really enables us to take full advantage of the capabilities that these devices have. I mean, if you just compare the devices that have come in the past 3 generations of PCIe, NVMe, for example, PCIe 3 devices were able to push around 1 million IOPS of read IOs. Then came PCIe 4 devices, which were able to push 1.5 million IOPS. So there's an improvement there. And then with PCIe 5, the latest devices are now able to push around 3.4 million IOPS.
Wow.
So those innovations are really scaling rapidly. And in order for our customers to be able to really take full potential or take full advantage of this potential, the stack that we're building helps them get them there.
Okay. So when are customers going to be able to get access to some of this?
That's a great question. We would love to get this out as soon as we can because we want our customers to use this.
Right.
We are planning to have this available to our Windows Server customers around the time of Ignite this year. So that's going to come very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But what's exciting is we're actually already self-hosting this and also working with some key hardware partners in order to make sure that this is at quality. We'll also plan on involving some key customers so that they can take this out and take it out for a spin. They can play with it and also be able to see all the goodness that we're bringing. And in fact, Rob and I were just talking about this. I want to show you a quick demo of this bad boy in action. So we have 2 machines set up over here, and we're going to run a quick perf test on this. We're going to have some read IOs on devices that we have that are NVMe, and we're going to see a comparison between Windows Server 2022 and Server 2025. So we're going to go in here, tell the machine to start doing read IOs. We're going to do the same over here, and you'll start seeing as this starts to read those IOs from these devices on Windows Server 2022. You see that bar graph come up? And at the same time with Windows Server 2025, you see that it almost delivers twice as much. And these numbers are really impressive, and I would love to go through them with you, but we have a full Server Summit session coming up, and we will dive much more deeper into this. So definitely take a look at the agenda and then save that on your calendar. And actually, Rob, you should talk to him about the improvements we've made around the resiliency aspect.
Yeah, this is all about both improving the performance, but also we'll use it in failover clustering to improve resiliency. So this works great on any failover cluster using storage spaces direct. And we're very excited to use this also for the rack-aware cluster.
Rack-aware cluster.
Right.
I'm not aware of what a rack-aware cluster
A
is.
rack-aware cluster, also known as a campus cluster, is where you have your host machines, your cluster nodes, in separate locations or in separate rooms or separate buildings or in separate parts of a boat, for example. Basically, you can lose a room and the cluster will still keep running your VMs. And so you can keep your facility, your factory running.
And you've got customers that are using this kind of environment right now?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do. We've got several customers who are currently using a campus cluster, but our innovation that's coming this fall is with a 4-way mirror so that they'll get better resiliency and better performance.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming you're going to be talking about this in more depth in your session that's coming up?
Yes, that's right. So we'll have a full demo of the rack-aware cluster, the campus cluster, in my session.
Got it. Perfect.
Hey, Rick. Great talking to you, but we should really get back to working on our demos.
Oh, okay.
Have you talked to the management team yet?
Not yet, no.
Yeah. Why don't you go talk to the Windows Admin Center team?
Perfect idea. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys.
Great seeing
Talk to
you.
you soon. Oh, Theo, how are you doing?
How do you know my government name? Security? Priya, do you know this guy?
Yes, of course. Hey, hi, Rick. How are you doing?
I'm just kidding, Rick. How are you?
Not too bad, but you didn't answer my question. How are you doing?
I could be better. Priya and I keep getting these spam and text messages.
Okay.
They even got our work email somehow, and it just got me thinking like how billions of dollars are spent each year just on cybersecurity attacks alone.
Yeah, this is a big issue for our customers. I mean, I don't see it declining anytime soon.
No, I don't think it will decline. And that's why Windows Server is heavily investing in security. Actually, I'm working on a couple security features right now.
Oh yeah? Oh, can you show me, or do I have to like sign an NDA first?
Oh, just Venmo me $5 and I'll call it even. Okay. So currently in preview right now, we have the silicon-assisted security tool that essentially expands Secure Core to Windows Server. So that will provide IT admins with a simplified way to monitor, enable, and maintain their current security state. And not only that, but we also have security baseline.
Hey, the security baseline that's available as part of Windows Server 2025, right?
Exactly. Yeah, with hundreds of security settings. So now you can apply Microsoft security baselines and our security best practices with just a simple click of a button. And it also has drift control configuration, which will ensure that your system starts and remains in a good known security state.
Wow, now that's pretty convenient. Now you can do all that from all this one page?
Yeah. It's all within the single management UI of Windows Admin Center. And there's even more because we're still innovating and improving on these tools. One that I like to call out is Windows Labs, which is Windows Local Administrator Password Solution.
Okay.
And with it, you can essentially manage the passwords of your given machine, copy it, reset it, and so much more, making password management simpler and more efficient.
Got it. And it's all free.
Yep. All of this is free to use with Windows Admin Center, and that's not all. We have Priya over here. She's been cooking something pretty amazing for our customers.
Oh yeah? I'd love to hear about it.
Thank you, Theo. So I'm working on a VM extension, and I'm super excited about that. So this is going to be a lightweight Windows Admin Center extension, and this is going to enable customers to lift and shift their virtual machines running on an ESXi host to our Hyper-V host.
Oh, okay. Now there are other tools, third-party tools that do this right now. How is this one different?
Oh, that's a very good question, Rick. So all of this is going to be done as an online migration, which means the virtual machines is going to be up and running during the data replication. And there is going to ensure business continuity so that the VMs don't have to be down when this whole workflow is executed.
Okay. Now, this sounds to me like it's going to require some kind of an agent install in the machines, or maybe some kind of an appliance that you have to deploy?
Oh, not at all. All that this requires is a Windows Admin Center extension, and that needs to be running on the latest version 2 of the Admin Center.
Oh, okay. Now, the next question I know people are going to be asking is, does this work for just Windows or Windows and Linux machines?
This is going to work absolutely fine for both Windows and Linux machines, so it's going to work just the same.
Perfect. Now, have people been using it already? You gotten some good feedback on making this thing better?
Yes. So we've got some initial feedback from our awesome MVPs. It's been very positive, and definitely a lot of new feature requests have come in. So we are planning that as part of our roadmap too. Nice.
Now, you know what I'm going to ask for. Can you show me a little bit of a demo for what we're doing yet?
You need to stay tuned, Rick. We have a full demo coming up in one of our Server Summit sessions. So please come and join us there.
Okay. Now, everything we've been talking about here, is that only available for on-prem, or does it also work for people in Azure too?
So all of this is going to be all on-prem. Theo, you want to say more about that?
Yeah. All of this that you just saw is for on-premises. However, we do have an entire suite of management services specifically for Azure, Azure Arc. In the past couple of semesters, we partnered up with the Azure Arc team to build up these services. So if you have a Windows Server that is Arc enabled, and you either have software assurance or pay-as-you-go, then you are able to use all of these services at no additional cost. Yeah.
Now, what are some of these services?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. And you're not going to believe this, but we got Azure Update Manager, Azure Change and Tracking Inventory, and Azure Policy, which normally would cost customers around like $5, $6 per VM per month. Now, all of that comes at no additional cost to them as long as they have either software assurance or pay-as-you-go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are there any other cool things I should be tracking down while I'm here talking to the team?
Oh, before that, though, there's a couple other services that I didn't mention, which is Windows Admin Center in Azure for Arc, remote support, best practices assessment, just to name a few. And so if you'd like to check them out, please come to my session.
I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Anyway, if you do happen to get a 5090, please, I'd like to, +1 for me, please.
I'll look at the coffee bar. Maybe they got some spare.
That'd be great. Hey, Rick.
Got a minute?
I do. I'm just finishing up with Bob. Bob is actually on a business trip right now. He's at an AI conference down in Silicon Valley. I know he's really busy, but since we have you here, this would be a great opportunity for Bob to kind of give people a little sneak peek as what's going on to the next version of SQL Server. So at Ignite, just a few months ago, we announced SQL Server 2025, and we released some public information about what's cool and new coming with SQL Server 2025. And Bob is the man when it comes to SQL Server. So I know you can't spill all the beans. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff that still hasn't been disclosed, but of the stuff that is, of the information about SQL Server 2025 that's public, what can you tell us, Bob?
Jeff, can you believe it? You're always asking me, Bob, when is SQL 25 coming out? It was so great last November to finally announce it.
Yeah.
And what we announced was AI built in. It's a perfect. I'm here at an AI event to talk about it some. And what do we mean by AI built in? Well, now developers and SQL customers can use the power of the SQL Server engine. They love it. It's secure, it's scalable, it's high performance, available. And now what they can do, Jeff, is make SQL Server a vector store. SQL Server, now inside the engine through the T-SQL language, can allow you to store embeddings using a connected AI models inside your database with your data. And then you can use things like vector indexing and vector searching to support some of these popular applications, as like RAG pattern. What's really crazy is SQL Server 2025 can connect to these AI models, whether they're running on premises completely or even in the cloud. So if you're a developer and you want to go build an AI application now and you love SQL Server, you love all the security comes with it, we've got it now. We've got it now. It's coming into SQL Server 2025 release. The excitement's crazy. Twice as many people have signed up for our private preview to work with us than we did in the previous 2 releases. It's insane. We're so thrilled with that.
Wow, that is some great customer excitement. I am so thrilled to hear that. Is the private preview still open, or has that been closed off?
It is. We still have a private preview available. People still signing up with us. We still got AI capabilities we're adding into each private preview release we do. So yeah, we're still looking for customers and developers to help us kind of shape it out.
Oh, that's awesome. Look, I know you're really busy, and again, I appreciate you chatting. I know you're at the AI conference. I'm assuming we're going to see you soon at Build too, so I'm looking forward to hearing about more cool stuff and more announcements coming out at Build soon.
Absolutely, Jeff. You know us, we'll always be there at Build showing up.
Absolutely, and we will always be there with Windows Server to support you really well with SQL. Listen, I'm going to let you go. I know you've got to run, but thanks a lot for the call, Bob. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, Jeff.
Well, I'm glad you popped in. Just finishing up with Bob here, but there is so many exciting things going on in the world of SQL Server, in the world of Windows Server, and of course, really excited about the Windows Server Summit. Now, I think you've spoken to quite a few people on our team, Harpreet, Rob, Ian, and a whole bunch of others, right?
There was Priya, there was Theo, a bunch today.
Well, and I'm glad you did, because the Windows Server team is a great team. We got a lot of great folks, a lot of great ideas, and I'm really excited about the Windows Server Summit itself. With Ignite, it's a huge event, but it's always a challenge, quite honestly, because we're such a huge company. We're such a huge organization, and we deliver so many services to companies and organizations and people around the world, whether it's Azure or M365 or Windows Client or Azure Local or AI or ML. I mean, there's so many different things. And so when we get to Ignite, there aren't enough days and not enough sessions to go deep on every topic.
Right.
So I appreciate the fact that with this Windows Server Summit, we have the ability now to go deep into various areas of Windows Server. And I think we have, 20, 25?
Yeah, so basically the Server Summit is going to be running right after this keynote. And it's going to be having a full 2 days worth of content built by the engineering team for the technical audiences that are there. A variety of topics. Make sure you go to the landing page and you find the topics that you want to go off and see. Make sure you bookmark them, add them to your calendar. get ready to go to be able to watch them. While you're watching them, you'll be able to ask questions and get answers by the engineering teams while it's live, but you'll also be able to watch all these sessions on demand after the fact as well.
Yes.
That's all taking place over the next 2 days. And you know what? I think it's time we actually get this thing started. What do you think?
That sounds great.
Okay, so thank you. Great chatting with you. I couldn't think of a better way to start Windows Server Summit content than to actually corral and get a hold of the Group Program Manager for Windows Server 2025, Eldon Christensen.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks for joining me, my friend.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into Windows Server? How long have you been at Microsoft? And what you kind of do is your role as a group program manager?
Yeah, sure. So actually before coming to Microsoft, I was like a customer. I was an IT admin.
Oh, yeah?
So I was actually doing like OS2 to NT4, like migrations way back in the day. So I'm kind of dating myself here. But I've been at Microsoft for 25 years doing Windows Server in some capacity or another. So I've been doing Windows Server since way, way back, even NT351. So I was deploying and using Windows Server NT351.
Now, as you mentioned, you've been working on Windows Server for a while at Microsoft. You've seen a number of different releases that happen, and you worked on a number of different releases. But the number one question that I get asked a lot by people in the community is what's the cadence? When is the next one coming out? What's happening with updates?
So no promises, right? So no promises on this. But if you just kind of look at our history, right? There was Windows Server 25, there was Windows Server 22, 19, 16.
I'm seeing some numbers here.
A little pattern here, So our goal is to release an LTSC of Windows Server every
LTSC?
Long-term servicing channel.
Okay.
So that's it has a 10-year life cycle. So that's 5 years of mainstream support, which is where we bring in security fixes. We have quality fixes, and then we also sometimes will bring in DCR. So if a customer has, like, they'll come to us and they'll say, hey, which is a design change request. So
okay,
a customer says, yeah, so a customer will say like, hey, I need this feature really bad, and I can't wait another 2 to 3 years for your next release. Can you bring this, what we call backporting, because from an engineering perspective, what we call that is backporting into a shipped product. So we'll bring a feature update, what we call DCR, into a shipped product through a servicing update that happens once a month. And then the last 5 years of the support is what we call extended support, where we just do security updates. And then we also have another potentially 3 years on the end we call extended security updates, which are then you have to pay for those and you can get extended security beyond that.
Right.
But every 2 to 3 years is our goal.
Okay. Now, how does this translate from what you've seen so far with regards to deployment and adoption of Windows Server 2025? How are we doing?
Yeah, so Server 25 is off to an incredible start. Actually, our best start ever, I'll say. So if we look at it, our just from a quality perspective, the number of kind of bugs and regressions that we're seeing is very low. The support volume which we're seeing is very low. And one kind of fundamental change in the engineering approach to it is we put a ton of effort into kind of application compatibility, into ensuring there's no regressions, no breaking changes. Because one of the customer promises we want to make is that if you're running on Windows Server 22, that you can feel confident to upgrade to Windows Server 25 and your apps are going to continue to work. And as a guy who's been around here, 15, 20 years, 25 years, it wasn't always the case. There were a lot more breaking changes, I will say, 20 years ago, but we've fundamentally changed our entire engineering perspective on how we approach these things.
Right. Now, I know I chatted with one of our engineers that was talking about the upgrade process. Can you shed a little bit of light on how that's changed and updated for us for Windows Server?
Yeah, so upgrades are more reliable than ever.
Awesome.
And so we have in-place upgrades. One of the things we're working on that might be coming in the not too far future might be the ability to uninstall. So you can roll back if for some reason you upgraded and you want to go back. But upgrades, we've now put a lot of effort in, so customers don't have to do a fresh install. So if you go back 10, 15 years, people with Windows servers would always do a clean install with the media. But now we feel really confident in in-place upgrades. We've brought a lot of that innovation, which was on Windows 11 client, which is fewer reboots, faster install times. So we've brought all that innovation to Windows Server 25.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, you and I have been doing these for a while now, and this has been an iteration, a learning to make this even better. I want to make sure we tell people that the way that you get the ability to give us input on how much you liked it and what we can change to make it better next time is to fill out those evals. You've done your evals, right?
And I always I really look forward to the Windows Server Summit. It's one of my favorite events because it's a focused event, right? It's all for all our IT admin users, business decision makers who are using Windows Server. And so it's really a great opportunity to connect. I love connecting with the customers with the Windows Server Summit.
Right. So make sure everyone that's watching this right now, you're signed in and you fill out those evals at the end of the session.
Because we want to make it better, right?
We want to make it better. And we definitely read every single one of those pieces of comments that's out there.
Absolutely do.
Now, we have so much content lined up over the next couple of days. I thought I would ask you, is there anything that kind of stands out as a session that's really exciting for you?
I think the big one is hot patching. Hot patching, the Azure Arc hot patching session with Vishal and Artem. That's probably going to be my favorite session.
Okay, now can you tease a little bit about what hot patching is? It's a little bit of a background, where it comes from. Like, how does that all fit in?
So people may not be that familiar with hot patching yet, because we first introduced it in Windows Server 2022, and we started as kind of a crawl, walk, run approach. And so we started with a very kind of scoped release. It was just available in the Azure edition.
Oh, okay.
So very small. And then now with Windows, that was in Windows Server 22. Now in Windows Server 25, we're expanding it. So with Azure Arc hot patching, we have hot patching available on standard and data center edition that can run anywhere. So you want to run it your on-prem servers, you want to run it on some other cloud provider, wherever you want to run it, on a VM, on bare metal, you can have hot patching on that. And the real value, many people don't know about it, that's why I'm so excited, is what it allows you to do is apply a security update without rebooting. Which, and just going through post, through power and self-test, right? That just takes, rebooting a server, going through, it just takes a long time for a server to boot up and go through post. And so you get to, all that is removed, right? Because you can just apply with, and patch in memory.
Right.
But it, and so hot patching allows you to get security updates. And they come out monthly LCUs. And then there is what's called a baseline. So every 3 months you do a baseline, and that requires a reboot. So that gets you all the quality fixes, all the kind of DCRs we were talking about earlier, in addition to the security updates, get you up to date. So it moves you from rebooting once a month to once a quarter. So that's a big improvement.
Less reboots is always good.
Higher availability.
So there's obviously a lot of sessions for everyone. You've got Azure Arc, you've got management sessions, you've got technology deployments for new technologies inside of Windows Server 2025. Do you have another session that you think you want to share?
Another one I think is really important is also all the Active Directory changes that are coming.
Okay. Yeah.
So we got some great innovation coming in Windows, that is not coming, but is in Windows Server 25, right? That's always the hard part for me, is always working on one, there's another one. And so in Windows Server 25, there's some great innovation around Active Directory. Performance improvements, scalability improvements, security enhancements, and hardening. And Cliff's driving that session. So it's going to be a great one. So right from the team who's driving all the innovation. So I encourage everyone to go check out that Active Directory session as well.
So we covered off logistics, what to look out for, got some recommendations for stuff. Do you have any closing thoughts you might want to share about the events, about building Windows Server 2025, about the community in general?
I just want to say thank you to everyone, because we ship Windows Server. We've been on a cadence every 2 to 3 years, so there's a lot of love and blood and sweat that's gone into it, from the engineering side, and it's something we're really proud of to be able to deliver to customers. I'm really looking forward to hearing their feedback on what they love, also the tough love on what they don't like, and what we need to do to make better. And this is an opportunity to give us feedback direct to the engineering team about what we can do going forward to try to improve as we look to the next version of Windows Server, which we're already started on. So
that's awesome. And I do want to call it that even though this is Windows Server Summit, you will also find sessions in there about how to augment Windows Server 2025 with Azure Arc. You mentioned that also with the hot patching side of things. We also had talk about the migration tools that you can use to be able to go off and to move those particular workloads as you need to. So there's a little of something for everyone inside of this.
Yeah, there's a bunch of kind of related sessions. So there's kind of the core Windows Server sessions and a whole bunch of kind of all the related sessions around them. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot right now, because I was just in San Francisco a little while ago getting a preview of what's coming up for our major in-person event, which is Microsoft Ignite, taking place in November. Any sneak peeks or ideas for things that might make it into that particular one from the server side of things? Any special surprises you're going to be able to share?
We had a big one last Ignite. So last Ignite, we had a really big one, right? So we launched Windows Server 25 at Ignite.
Right.
And it, obviously GA'd at Ignite. So it's not going to be that big. It's not going to be as big as we're going to have like a full product release. But we do have some features we're working on bringing into Windows Server 25 we'll bring it in through servicing, maybe happen this fall. So maybe some storage related stuff. So we do have a few things that'll come. But for the next, like we're on this 2 to 3 year kind of cadence. So probably not going to be another version of Windows Server, but we'll have some things which will come on, we'll deliver in through servicing that might come in that time frame we'll announce.
Awesome. Now, if you're going to be in person at Microsoft Ignite, that's going to be fantastic. We'll be able to see you there. Hopefully.
I hope so. I hope I'm there. I was there last year. I've been there for nearly every one, so I hope to be there again.
I know the experts booth was busy for Windows Server side of things with lots of people coming through. But don't worry, if you can't make it there and you're watching this now, you will be able to go in and watch the digital version, the digital experience as well. So you'll be able to catch those sessions and catch that content there too. But you know what? I think I want to say, hey, thank you so much for even just stopping by briefly to talk about this. And we'll let some folks get ready to go with some other Windows Server Summit content starting now.